Good evening, welcome to Eye on the Issues. I have with me this evening, I could say distinguished, very well known. He's not a businessman, he's a former member of the armed forces. And he had distinguished himself, yes, during the uprising in the Rupununi and in several other areas of the country. No other than Dr. David Granger, who has distinguished himself as a member of the Armed Forces of Guyana in several capacities. Well, David, welcome to the program. And this time we'll be talking something more serious. We'll be entering the arena of politics. I was a little taken back because I know that you're a very quiet, nice individual. And not that politicians are not quite nice. When I heard that David had decided to enter the political arena, I said, oh gosh, now this is an opportunity. I must talk to David. And hence this program this morning. David is the candidate, one of the candidates for the PNC, that is the presidential candidate. There are two other PNC candidates, and that is Winston Murray, who is also well known, has been around a long time, who is a lawyer, and Basil Williams, also a lawyer, who is also in the running. So there's going to be three candidates in the PNC. We don't know whether the others are still in the running in the PPP, but there were three candidates or four candidates in the PPP. General Secretary Donald Ramatar of the PPP, Mr. Ralph Karan, well-known lawyer, and of course Mr. Nagabutu. So there were three also. Whether the three are still in the running, what's the score, I don't know. But I'll make some inquiries and pursue those candidates again. Now, David, politics is an arena that is, I wouldn't say alien to you, but it's like, say, you're going to a new arena now. This is an arena that is tough, difficult. You'll have all types of nastiness thrown at you. Unnecessarily so, unjustified, but that's the arena of politics we have in Guyana. Are you really prepared for this, David? Because it's not going to be easy. It's going to be quite a campaign. And of course, you have three candidates in your own camp, and that's the PNC camp. And the other three candidates in the other camp. Of course, they're going to be in an elimination process in the PPP camp, we understand shortly. So David, are you prepared to go out there and ride to the sunset?
Well, I hope I'll be riding to a new dawn. Yesu, first of all, thanks for inviting me on this program again. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share my views with you and your audience. As far as the political arena is concerned, well, you said it all. I'm certainly not an experienced politician, and I only entered the race reluctantly after I was approached by several friends, both in the United States and here in Guyana. The reason I accepted was that I do believe still, that I could make a contribution to changing the security environment and the development environment in this country. I do think I bring to the candidacy a tremendous amount of experience in leadership, a lot of experience in managing resources. Even after I left the army, I did establish my own company for a short time. And I do have quite a bit of knowledge in the public security field. And I think one of the biggest challenges to this country right now is the challenge of public security, because crime is definitely not being controlled as it ought to be. And people at various levels, even domestic level, among children and wives, people in the hinterland, business people, ordinary villagers, have been subject to a wide range of criminal attacks, particularly gun crimes, gun robberies, and murder. I do believe that that is one of the biggest challenges in the country at present. It has driven investors away. It has driven young university graduates out. It has inhibited businessmen from expanding their enterprises. It has deterred tourists. I don't think you could calculate the amount of damage the crime wave has had on the economy and on society. So I believe that is one of the biggest challenges that I face, and I would like to make my contribution, first of all, in that field. The other area is, of course, the area of national unity. I think the country is badly divided in various ways. Ethnically, I think this is a legacy of the past, but I don't think that sufficient has been done to weld the people back into a national, a nation state in order to move development along. In addition to that, I think a huge gap has developed in our social and economic classes. Over the recent weeks, as a member of the People's National Congress Reform, we've been involved in outreach programs. And up to last weekend, we were at Angois Avenue in New Amsterdam, and the poverty is something unimaginable. And much has to be done to bring more of these poor people into the mainstream economy. There's no point keeping them at the margins, because many of them are unemployed, many of them cannot participate fully in the economy, many of them don't make a contribution, and the housing is poor, the health is poor, and it will be a drag on the economy to maintain so many people in that impoverished class. At the same time, we have super rich people. Now, nothing's wrong with being rich, but when you have a huge mass of, super poor, and on the class more or less, and a small clique of very rich people, inevitably there will be crime. Very poor people will attack the rich people. So in order to solve the social problem, I believe it is necessary to try to close the gap, reduce poverty, try to reinvigorate the economy so that we can at least create some basis for social equality or even social equity. So I think those are the two big challenges that face me at this point in time, or face any candidate. And that is the reason that I've come forward, because I believe I can make a difference, both in terms of public safety and in terms of national unity.
But there's no doubt at all, public safety is very critical at the present time, has been for some time. No one is safe in his home or her home. And in any country, when you have a situation like that, you're going to have a continuous exodus. You mentioned university graduates, 87% or more, it's claimed, leave the country. It's not only university graduates. You cannot find tradesmen these days. I know this because we are involved in this, and welders, mechanics, plumbers, and other skills are not available. Where are they? They're leaving the country. By hook or crook, they leave the country. So indeed, something has to be done to revive, to revitalize this economy. And I agree with you, there's absolute need for people to come together. And team spirit is what is necessary. if we're going to rebuild Guyana and stop, I would use the word moral decay has taken place, we have to work in togetherness. Whether the PPP will do it, the PNC will do it, the AFC, whatever party. But they have to start looking seriously. And yes, indeed, I've seen this disparity. I've witnessed it. I know it. I'm involved in many areas socially, as well as philanthropically. And I'll tell you, I've seen some poverty I'd never known as a boy. Look, I grew up on a sugar estate, and I had seen poverty in those days, but not to the degree I'm seeing today. It boggles the mind. And we have to do something.
It's what I call hereditary poverty, you know. Apparently, extremely poor people produce children who turn out to be extremely poor, largely because, I believe, Yesu, the education system, which has elevated people of your generation and my generation out of poverty, doesn't perform the same function anymore. For example, one of the problems that we've encountered on our outreach exercises is a problem of illiteracy. I mean, there used to be a time when Guyana used to be boasting of literacy rates of
97%,
yes,
95%.
But now many people have not registered because they're illiterate. They can't read the posters, they can't read the notices, and some of them are ashamed to go to the clerks to
get it done for them.
To get it done. So I think one of the objectives of my policy, if I'm elected, would be to examine or re-examine the education system to deal with those questions of illiteracy, and certainly this has to be started at the level of the University of Guyana so that you can produce better graduates, better quality of graduates, who would, through the teacher training college, the Cyril Potter College of Education, produce better teachers who would be going to the classrooms in primary and secondary schools. Right now in Guyana, you wouldn't believe the numbers, but according to the Ministry of Education, every year about 12,000 children drop out of school. 12,000 children, 1,000 children a month are dropping out of the primary and secondary schools. And those are official statistics. So when these people drop out, they are likely not to have mastered the skills of writing and counting. And I think that is one of the biggest problems. So the education system has to be rectified. I'm not saying that this particular minister or that particular minister is at fault, but right now there are too many dropouts and too many children are going through the education system and are coming out illiterate or innumerate. And as long as that happens, you'll have a large number of young people who are unemployable because they, at the age of 18 or 19, they can't write, they can't count, they can't spell. Nobody would put them in a factory to work. Nobody would want to employ them because they wouldn't be able to read safety instructions, STOP, stop, they can't tell what the word means. And this lack of education will lead to serious unemployment problems, and that will now perpetuate the sort of cycle of ignorance and poverty. And that's what I call the hereditary poverty.